Hi, and welcome back to
Inspired the Game. I'm Sean.
And I'm Lola. If you like what you see here, please support our channel by subscribing down below.
And if you're already subscribed, hit the notification button so you'll know when we drop another video.
Today we are talking about Oak, a recent Kickstarter we just received from Game Brewer. Oak is a resource management, hand management, worker placement game. It plays over 6 rounds. You will be moving active druids from places on your player boards to various locations on the board, or even on your player board itself. There are temple locations, which will let you do various actions. There's a feather temple, a mistletoe one, and a runes one, as well as a location for Elder Druids. Special places both on your player boards as well as artifacts. You will be able to brew potions, collect otherworldly creatures from the forest who can assist you, as well as gather herbs and stuff from the forest. You know, those things you get from foresty places. Those are mediated by the passive druids. So passive druids hang around at the base of the oak. They're less busy than the other ones going around. They get to climb up into the tree to gather additional victory points, as well as gain certain festival incomes. As well, they get to, at the end of a round, gather from the forest. You know, that stuff. We're going to head then into our review and what are our thoughts about this game. I want to start with, I was really thrilled when I first saw this game come up, because I actually studied with the Order of Bards, Oghams, and Druids for about 9 years. They're a group based out of the UK. So Druidry is actually something that has always been near and dear to my heart. So it was really exciting for me to meld my passion for gaming with an old love of mine of Druidry. So I was really excited by that, and I also love any game to do with nature, and especially you get trees in there, and I get over the moon excited, frothing at the mouth.
It was one of the easier, should we back this or should we not? Like, how can we not?
I told them that there's like no choice. It's like, we are getting this game. And it had, yeah, so now saying that, we have the game, we've looked at it, and I'm really impressed with everything that they did with it. As somebody who has studied Druidry, my only issue was that they have, as a 3 temple locations, they've got feathers and they got mistletoe and they've got runes, and I believe they're Viking runes too, which is very interesting because the ogham do tend to use the druidic Celtic alphabet, which is something very intrinsic to Druidry, the ogham. But other than that, though, I thought that there was a lot of great terminology, and I think that they did a really good job of pulling in the Druidic theme into this game. So it's very thematic. They did a great job with that theme. Yeah. I just didn't want to keep talking and talking. I want you to have a chance to say something.
It's a great game. I love worker placement games. This has asymmetric player powers, which is something else that I like. I don't know why I like them. I guess it's because, in a way, I figure, well, if I lost that game, I can just blame it on the fact that I had one of the weaker powers. Because you can never really tell, have they been balanced properly? I assume they have because of all the play testing. I'm not going to, fault anybody with that, but yeah, I can pretend.
And that's where it's interesting, because asymmetrical player powers are not my favorite mechanic. One of the reasons is because it is so hard for it to be balanced for every player. And for myself, if I lose, I want to lose because I didn't play the best game I could play. I like people to be even, coming from a place with equal opportunity from the beginning, whereas asymmetrical player powers can sometimes mess things up if you feel like, well, my board to begin with was not as powerful as your board, so I had to work a little bit harder, and so on and so forth. But at the same time, sometimes they can be really great too. Like Terra Mystica is all about asymmetrical player powers. It's perfect information. There's no luck at all. So you have to play to whatever power you've got in that. And Merchant's Cove obviously is completely built around asymmetrical player powers. So
that is a good point, because not only now do you have to, I never thought of it this way, but not only do you have to learn the base game, but now you have to learn the idiosyncrasies of each of those player powers that you're going to be using. That's our cat, by the way, in case you didn't recognize
The
it.
fat one.
Yeah, overall,
Yeah.
I think I do like them because it adds that extra little bit of
Mm.
variety to a game. Um,
It does do that for
it
sure.
definitely does do
Yeah.
that.
The game plays really well. We played only one game so far, so this is really an initial thoughts review. But what I like from it from the beginning is how many things you can do. So your actions for your workers, your druid workers, is mediated by cards. So once you use a card that round, you can't use it again, and you have to balance how you're using your cards. You've got resources on your player board, and the feathers, the mistletoes, and the runes that you use to pay for these various actions too. So it's quite a lot to balance, and there's really a lot going on. It makes it very satisfying, very thinky. And yeah, so I really think as it's a midweight game. I think as that, it does it very well. I think it did a really good job at what it did. And okay, I feel like I say this all the time, but I really love this game. I really love this game. And I think that's kind of my catchphrase now.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts is as you were building up your base level druids, you were powering them up and turn them into elder druids.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you actually get to dress them up in something. The ovates get a little satchel. The bards get a little lute. And
there's more. Yeah.
There's others, but they're all different. There's 6 of them, and they all have a specific something they get added on there that tells you what they are and then what their power can be, which you can use to do all sorts of wonderful things on the board. I won't get into either, but it's a lot of fun dressing them up.
We weren't sure if it was a little gimmicky to get started because it looked really cute. So they have those meeples, and yeah, as you advance them to be elders, they get their little things. But it was quite fun to decide, because you get to decide when you get the opportunity to upgrade them which ones you're going to upgrade. They each have their own power, so you've got to weigh that into your decisions, which ones are you going to go through first. Even as you play the game, your player board, you have a certain amount of spaces for active druids. The passive ones at the tree remain passive unless you can have places for them on your player board in order to pull them in so that they could do more actions for you. But you still have to have the resources for all of them to do those actions, and you don't want to lose too many of your passive ones too, because you want to have some to keep on going into the forest, because to forage in the forest is how they find ingredients to make the potion. So you still need to be able to do that and send some up into the tree. Sending some up into the tree, there's three branches, and only one of yours can go up into 3 branches. They each correspond to the 3 different temples. You get a little bit of income through that, but the really juicy thing is the end scoring to make it to the end of those branches. You can get huge multipliers that catapult you to like 14, 15, 16, 18 points just within one turn. That's very satisfying, but you need to think those things through ahead of time and really calculate out your moves and what you're going to do, how you're going to use your resources. And yeah, it's actually really seems to be really quite balanced to me. So one thing that I found was challenging with reading the rule book is, for one thing, the rule book is really well put together. It explains things, it makes sense, logical, very well done, except for that there are some icons that are really, really small and really, really hard on the eyes. And I actually have really good close-up vision. Not so good far away, but I had good close-up vision. And I was almost wanting to pull out a little magnifying glass at some points, because they have the little icons within a sentence, like in brackets in some places. And especially when you're first learning the game and trying to understand what everything is, it made it really, really challenging to learn it. And even within then on the board and some of the cards, some of the icons are very, very small. So that can be challenging for those who have eyesight challenges. So that was one thing. Another thing that I had to nitpick about with the player boards is they all look the same. They all have their different powers. They all have different names. Now you can tell them apart because they each have their own special private worker area that you can put a druid on for its own specific action. But I would have loved to see those player boards to have the name of each one, so because otherwise you don't know unless you're flipping through the rule book and looking. And even to
or
have
a symbol or something to denote, like, this is the order of the
Or
wild,
symbol,
that's the order of the
exactly.
bee kind of thing.
Yeah, and even to have, I would even love it to go a little bit further and them to look slightly different, like maybe slightly color or something to distinguish between the different boards other than just that one specialized location. It's a little bit nitpicky, but that's one thing that occurred to me. But I think those are the only concerns that I had, and they were just kind of little nitpicky things, no big thing about the game itself. The game itself plays really well. We got the deluxe edition with, which has some, I don't know, it has a double-sided board. So one side is day and the other side is night.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful, and different box art cover. I don't think there's any big difference otherwise. So I do think that this is one that's worth getting your hands on if you like worker placement. I love the theme. Like, theme is huge for me. I like things that make me think. I love a good strategy game, and I love a good theme, and this has got all that for me.
And for me, like I said, I like worker placement games. Theme is good looking games and things to play with, little toys and dressing up my meeples. That sold me on it. So.
It's like the dress up dolls. I used to do the dress up dolls as a little kid. It's like, oh. All right. Well, thank you for joining along with us today. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you're interested in watching more, please check them out, and don't forget to subscribe.
Thank you. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.
Happy gaming, folks.